Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever and whenever you're talking to today's town hall. Today, we're writing the town hall number 15, and I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear and that everything is all right here. So, today we mark some sort of a new era, maybe, for a couple of bug bounty hunters, and we also do have a couple of general informations about what's going on in the OSMU community. So, all right. First of all, I do hope everything and everybody is all right in the audience down there. As always, if you do have any questions or if you actually want to hop into this Discord of OSMU and figure out a couple of things around the Bitaxe or any other projects that do evolve around the Bitaxe project, feel free to do so. You can find us at the link called discord.gg/OSMU and you will be directly directed over to our Discord server. If you never use Discord, don't worry, it's really handy and easy to do, so just try it out. Alrighty, for the people here in the audience, welcome and lovely to have you here. If you do have any questions or if you just want to participate in the town hall, do so, raise your hand, I'll bring you up to stage. Be aware of that all these town halls are recorded, so if you talk there, you will be recorded and therefore will be on all these podcast platforms because the town halls are available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, you name it, found them, whatever. Just wanted to mention this. Originally, the town halls were designed to actually be a place for people to come in and join and have a chat and just ask about questions or just ask questions generally about the Bitaxe device. But now it turns out to be more of some sort of a newsletter that we do in voice instead of writing, which is also nice. Yeah. Let's dive into one of the hottest topics of today, probably. We do have a new channel. I hope that everybody can see that. It's in the server section called Bug Bounty. We now do have a Bug Bounty program, which actually incentivizes you to use all your knowledge and whatever you have to go out there, find a bug, help fixing it, and making a pull request on GitHub for it in order to claim a couple of sets for doing so. We have a couple of sets as a reward tier system, and the highest ones are actually for mining bugs. So if you do find something which is causing issues on the mining side and is actually an issue with the mining itself on the ESP-miner firmware that we do use for Bitaxe devices, then just fix it if you figured it out and pull it up to GitHub. And if you do so, you will be rewarded with plenty of sets, as well as for the web UI, we do have a bug bounty program. If you do figure out there are any issues related to anything like the web user interface, functionality problems, security vulnerabilities, or display errors, they will also be rewarded if you can figure them out and fix them. And then we do have the latest tier, which is general bugs. Anything else that does not really is covered by the other categories. So we do hope with introducing this new Bug Bounty program that we can incentivize a couple more people to get into this whole section of developing, especially around open source and doing it in an open source manner to improve the overall functionality of this device or all these devices and the overall usability from Bitaxe devices, which I do hope is really helpful, especially for people tuning in there and don't actually have time to do stuff, but they could potentially do it. Now they do have some sort of an incentivize, which is probably nice to have. Currently the bug bounty rewards are structured mining bugs as the highest with 150,000 sats, then web UI bugs with 80,000 sats, and general bugs with 45,000 sats. Probably not the highest, but we will need to figure it out. So we will actually get in there and see if this is enough to incentivize people to actually find any sort of bug that we do have or potentially do have. So yeah, let's see how this turns out. I think it's a nice thing to actually get into it, or at least try it, because you get some free sats for doing some work, which is awesome, right? Isn't it? So I hope it's nice and it is been welcomed by everybody. Alrighty. Again, for the people in the audience, if you do have anything that you want to say or that you want to, I don't know, contribute or ask, feel free to do so, because town halls are usually for everybody who's tuning in here. And Yeah, so let's see what else we do have. Generally speaking, you might have figured it out that the Discord got a little bit cooler, I'd say. So not that many people are currently publishing anything or writing that much. I'd say this is probably due to this sort of summer hole that we do experience. Most of the people are actually on vacation, like most of the devs, for example. Scott is on vacation, a couple of other people are also on vacation, and then other things are happening, like me included. I apparently got to become a father recently, so therefore a couple of things happening in the background. Yeah, so I just want to mention, don't feel frustrated if you do see not that much in this Discord. It's usual. It is summertime. People want to go outside. Weird, I don't know why, but apparently some people do. But yeah, that's okay. That's all right. So let's see. Well, what else do we have? In general, do we not have any updates about any new devices? We did have the last couple of town halls, but it's also good that we do see more improvements on the overall functionality. I mean, most of you guys are probably just waiting here all day long for the Bitaxe hacks, and this time I'm not going to tell you that it will come out soon. This time I will tell you the way how the original Bitaxe hacks was probably designed will not happen. Maybe it will, but not in the way we were intended to do. So what am I talking about that here? So the original Bitaxe hacks with 6 chips was designed to use the BM1370, and it has basically been done by MacFighter. Huge shout out to you guy actually doing that. What an amazing job. And we do have a couple of manufacturers such as Tiny Chip Hub. They are actually producing Bitaxe hacks. Currently, they are trying to get the version 3 or 4 up and running, but they seem to have a couple of issues, so this needs to be addressed, which is currently happening in the background. And furthermore, do we have a little bit, not in really dispute, but a little bit of a conversation in the background about should we really go forward with the current design of the Bitaxe hacks, or should we actually use newer chips which are coming along from the S21 or the S21XP, which are just way more powerful compared to the ones that we do have now. Like we talked about it lately, that the BM1370 chips are nice, but they only hash at about 500 to 650 gigahashes per second on this small form factor. And these newly chips from the S21XP are way bigger, and they produce each above 1 terahash. So using these chips would actually lift the Bitaxe hacks from roughly 2.5 to 2.7 terahash up to almost 6 terahash, which is a complete different level. So therefore, in the background, and probably none of you has actually got any details about that, unluckily. That's the reason why I'm updating you here, is that we're thinking about maybe it's not a good idea to go forward with the hacks design that it currently has, and actually wait for Scott to come back from his vacation and get these new S21XP chips up and running, figure out how to actually use them, which is probably super easy to do because we have all these other informations about these previous chips, and then use them on the hacks and bring this puppy up to life, which is probably most arguable the best idea to do. But on terms of the pricing, it will probably increase it by a factor of let's see, probably $100 more for this device, which is maybe a little bit bad for the old device. But these newly chips are currently traded at $30 to $45 each, compared to the BM1370 chips, which are traded between 12 to Bitmaker is writing currently in the chat, so I'm pausing here. So Bitmaker wrote in the chat, just one thing, the price for these chips are really expensive. Yeah, that's correct. These S21XP chips are sitting between $30 to $45 per chip, which is super expensive, but on the same side, they're so much more powerful compared to the BM1370 ones. And as I said, it would actually add up a huge chunk of money to it to actually produce it. But I mean, probably $15 to $20 more compared per chip, and then you need to multiply this by 6 to the device. And he's also, BitMaker is also writing, at least price per terahash is better in my opinion for plebs using S19. Yeah, that's correct. That's the thing why I'm still a little bit afraid of actually moving away from the S19 chips and going straight for the S21XPs, because I do think starting away with the S19 chips and producing it with a manufacturer in huge quantities and then selling these devices for probably $300 to $350 is a good deal for 2.5 to 2.7 terahash. I'm not sure if you should really move away from this model. And these prices that I'm currently coming up here in my mind are prices that I am thinking about doing with production here in Germany, so it could vary a ton. We currently do only have one manufacturer, which is sitting in China, and I'm not tied to them or anything else. It's a company on their own, and they're called Tiny Chip Hub. They do produce Bitaxe hexes at the moment. They're the only ones that are doing that, due to the reason that we have not released a final version. As I said, MacFighter was working or is working on the Bitaxe hex. He designed it primarily, and he is reviewing the latest revision that he built, or that he actually came up with in his development. And now he got sent over a couple of these units for testing because there are a couple of minor bugs in them. So he will probably figure that out, and after that he'll call it a day and say, this one is working. And then everything else is just as easy as plugging it in and running it. I mean, I had reviewed the hex version from Tiny Chip Hub a couple of weeks ago on my YouTube channel. It was doing good. It's nice. It's working, so nothing to complain about it. It is doing what I was expecting it from doing. So we'll get into that. I just say, be aware of, it could be that you will not see major manufacturing probably in the US or in a European market for these BM1370 hexes. Maybe it will take a couple months longer, and then the S21XP chips in these hexes will hit, and we will see up to 6 terahash on these devices. So it's kind of hard to balance between what kind of route you want to go. I'm all in there for actually saying, no, fuck it, we are going to go with the route that we already have, and we do produce these S19 chips in these hexes, which is good for the overall dollar price for this device, but it's bad for the actual terahash that you do get out of it. So we'll need to figure that out, and we'll need to see what's going on that end. I do hope that MacFighter can actually verify these latest bugs that Tiny Chip had found on his revision, and as soon as this happens, we will probably release it as the, Hex Ultra. I know naming is completely weird, and maybe somebody of you here in the audience or later on watching to this video or listening to this podcast does have a cool naming scheme. Just point it out. Maybe there's something in there that could be way better than what we're doing right now. Whoever knows, at least we are not, as your TV manufacturer, having these weird names with numbers and everything else in there. So that's most likely the update side on the hex. I'm currently thinking about what else is going on there. Let me see. Now, I think for the hex side, that's mostly all of what has been done and what's happening in the background. As I said, just waiting for these S21 chips, and then probably the production or manufacturing on this side will be a little bit more active, especially here on the Discord. And as I said, Discord currently is a little bit low on traffic due to the summer hole. As usual, some people like to do a vacation. I don't know why, but it appears to be that's a human doable thing. But whatever. While scrolling through Discord, initially I was saying there's not a new device coming up, but I'm wrong about it. Maybe you have followed the announcement channel, and I was announcing about a change of the 0xx by Pool91. He basically changed the original design from PMAXUW, man, you need to change your name, to a 8 ASIC chip design, which is also super nice and handy. It's called the 8LX. I believe. If that's correctly spoken, please correct me if I'm wrong about that. So what he did was using the 0xx and changing it from a 16 ASIC device down to a 8 ASIC device, which is super handy and sitting at 90 watts at roughly 3.4 to 3.6 terahash. So that's awesome, and it's really good. So reach out to the 0xx channel, scroll up a little bit and give him a little bit of love, or stare at his GitHub, because that's actually what we all want to do. We want to have some stairs at GitHub. Nobody cares about clicks or likes, whatever. We want to have stairs at GitHub. That's the real shit. Do so, please. It's really appreciated. As well for all these other products that we do have in here. We have so many intelligent people in here that are doing so many great things. I just wanted to mention that, and I think it's well deserved for all these people that are contributing to anything else, especially to open source mining in general. Like, this community here is just some sort of a hub for you to get in there, to communicate with others, to connect to each other, and then you can come up with whatever device you want and do it. It's this beauty about all of that. Alrighty, let me see. Would be appreciated if anybody of you in the audience does have any questions. Please give me some input, because as I said, we are sitting in some sort of a summer hall. There's not that much going on, and I do have a little bit of a problem of finding actual topics to cover here today. Maybe there's anything you want to talk about, any conspiracy theories or whatever, come up with it, please. Or if you do want to, just come up on the stage and talk to me a little bit, because you can always raise your hand and have a chat with me or anybody else, and it would also be really appreciated. All right. Let me see. Do we have any sort of news that are going on in general in mining? I mean, I'm not seeing that much. Probably most of you guys are currently waiting for the this Bitcoin event in Nashville, where apparently Trump will be attending to and telling the people that he will back the US dollar with Bitcoin. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, seems to be a thing that people are actually believing that, or at least he was posting about it. Not sure if this was actually a real post or some sort of AI generated stuff. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Alrighty, so we've spoken about the Bug Bounty Program, which is nice, and we have briefly talked about changes about the hacks or potential issues on the waiting line for you to actually get in there. There's maybe another thing. So today I was doing a pull request for Raspberry Blitz. Maybe you guys are not into that, but Raspberry Blitz is a node operating system software thingy for the Raspberry Pi, which you can use apparently on a Raspberry Pi 4, Raspberry Pi 5 or x86 systems. And today I was doing the pull request for it to actually implement public pool onto these Raspberry Blitz so that more people can actually run their own pool at home. Funny thing, it took me quite a while to get to this stage, because initially I only had a couple of Raspberry Pi 3s laying around there, and then a couple of Raspberry Pi 4s laying around here. And now finally I do have a Raspberry Pi 5 and a NVMe head for it, which, funny enough, was just the minimum to get this done, what I was trying to achieve with it. Because think about it, the Raspberry Pis are super nice SoCs, like single board computers. They're really nice. But SPCs, I'm sorry. But they do lag in performance. And let me see, we do have a couple of things in the chat. Stealth was writing, I've been running Raspberry Blitz Lightning Node for 3 years now. Just recently upgraded from a Raspberry Pi 4 to Raspberry Pi 5. Yeah, that's awesome. I did it. By the way, a little bit of openness mind here, and a little bit for the people to actually understand where are these funds and all these donations going for. I got this Pi 5 for doing the research of implementing public pool onto the Raspberry Blitz, paid by OSMU. So I didn't pay for the Raspberry Pi 5. I got it from OSMU funds in order to get it up and running and actually understand of how I can implement public pool to it. And today I did it. It is working. I only have one last issue, but I will get into that in just a second. Por favor, voice writing, would you recommend this over Umbrel running a node? I was always using Umbrel with it. I'll cover this question in just a second because I do have a couple of personal thoughts to this. And let me quickly go forward with what I was doing about public pool and implementing this on Raspberry Blitz. So as I said, I was initially working on these public pool implementation for the Raspberry Blitz, working on a Pi 4. And on the Pi 4, I then had connected a SSD via USB, which was shit in itself. But then I had this issue, like you do have the single board computer with a Pi 4, and the computational power that this device actually does have is some sort of low, like literally low. And I was just using Bitcoin Core on it, and you need to specify the Lightning node that you want to implement on it. So I figured out Core Lightning would be good stuff. And on the Pi 4, idling with this device, just downloading the blockchain or verifying the next block coming in, it was sitting at like 45 to 60% on CPU load, which is way too high. But whatever. So this was working. And then I tried to implement public pool to it. I tried different routes. I was going with a Docker implementation, which was shit in itself because Raspberry Blitz, usually they do run stuff as systemctl services in the background and not on Docker or anything else. So that was an issue in itself. And I figured out, wow, okay, that's not a good term to do. But the biggest issue was, if you do have a Raspberry Pi 4 with a USB device, USB HDD or SSD connected to it, and you're trying to actually use this and then produce block templates for your miners to work on, forget about it. This device will probably do 2 or 3 get block templates for your node, and then it will sort of crash. Because, I don't know, this device is... Man, it's working, but it's slow and it's not good. And that's the reason why I got the Pi 5. I was asking the other admins here on OSMU, and I was like, dude, literally, we need public pool on more devices. We need to decentralize mining even more. We have public pool now on Umbrel. We have sort of the implementation that I did on Citadel, which was not that good, and I think there's still a bug on Citadel. You could mine to it, but the UI is buggy, and I couldn't fix it. Whatever. But now I got this idea of actually get this to Raspberry Blitz implemented, because I do know a ton of people using Raspberry Blitz, and I thought probably some of them are actually interested in doing so. And yeah, as I said, like originally it was not really working with Pi 4s, and then I got a Pi 5 from OSMU, and now this is working. It's running perfect. I only have one last issue, which is the SQL database, which on the public pool side gets to a size of roughly 2 to 3 gigabytes, which is not that bad. It's really low compared to other SQL databases, but it was an issue for the Raspberry Blitz implementation, because what it does is you do have your SD card that you stick into your Raspberry Pi, and then you attach via NVMe or via USB your hard drive to it. And on this SD card, you only have 2 gigabytes free of storage. So I was using the example route of these example scripts that you can use with Raspberry Blitz in order to get your application onto Raspberry Blitz. It was working for like half an hour, up to an hour, and then it was crashing because the database got way too big and filled the SD card, and the SD card was full. So now I try to implement it actually on the SSD or the NVMe, which is sort of working, but I do have write issues. Like, I don't know, I'm not that deep into Raspberry Blitz. I tried my best. I was working on that for the last 7 days. It was not really working that well. It is working kinda, and I opened up the pull request for it today on GitHub, and I tagged a couple of these devs to actually help me out with this, because they're actually developing Raspberry Blitz and I'm not. I'm just doing some sort of implementing public pool for it for the greater good. And yeah, we'll need to see. I tried to get this over to the NVMe drive in order to install it there and make it happen that it can run there. But unfortunately, I'm not able to actually get down this rabbit hole of their privileges that they do use on these devices. So it's kind of hard to get it up and running on the NVMe drive, probably because it's 100% reserved for the Bitcoin blockchain. But yeah, whatever. I'll get into that. I'll try to have a conversation with these devs over there and to figure this issue out. But I assume probably next week this pull request will be done, and then everybody who's running Raspberry Blitz on a Pi 5 with an NVMe can actually use it, have their own public pool installation at home, and mine their own blocks, hopefully, at home. I mean, we'll see. Stealth 2600 was mentioning, did you try to overclock it? I did try to overclock it, but I don't know. I don't feel that's a good idea doing that. I had like two different issues. The first issue that I had with the Pi 4 was actually it was way too slow to create all these block templates for the pool. And the second one, it was too slow on stopping the reading and writing on the blockchain and then switching over to the template creation, creating the template, and then pulling the next data in. So this process was slow to two reasons. First one was the USB connection is really slow, and the second one is the CPU is way too slow. And the Pi 5 is quite around the edge of being fast enough to do that. And if you do have an x86 system, like any Intel or AMD CPU, it will work fine. But with a Raspberry Pi, I don't know. It's a whole debate about if you should even run your own node on a Raspberry Pi. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. I just did the development on implementing public pool on it just for the reason being of people asking me for doing that. That's the only thing. I will probably not use this after that again. I don't know. Maybe there's some use case I can make out of that Raspberry Pi then for OSMU. Maybe for some sort of a online tracking website, whatever. We'll see. I'll figure something out. But this Raspberry Blitz node running software on there will probably not stay on that, because I think x86 systems are way better compared to these ARM single board computers, just in terms of performance and actual usability. But for people who want to know, who want to use it, go for it. It's actually possible with a Pi 5, but nothing below that. All right, let's head into the question of Por Favor. He asked if I would recommend using Raspberry Blitz over Umbrel, because he is using Umbrel all day long. All right, so I do have, and that's my personal opinion. So nothing from OSMU, it's just my personal opinion. The last couple of weeks, I was trying so many different node implementations, like Raspberry Bolt, Raspberry Blitz, Start 9, Umbrel, what else is out there? A couple of other things I also tried. I don't know. I tried so many different iterations or different versions of running your own node. And to be honest, and this is just, as I said, my personal opinion as being a software developer at some point, I don't like all of them, to be honest. Most of them do have their benefits, or some of them do have the benefits, some of them do have their disadvantages. The biggest issue that I do see is the lack of configurability of all of these devices. Most of them are super simple and super handy for people that are not really that deep into playing around with Linux in general. Like, all right, you just want to plug in a USB stick, plug in a hard drive to it, fire it up. It will actually copy the Bitcoin blockchain, and you do have your own mempool at home. That's super useful. Use Umbrel, use Start 9, use Raspberry Blitz. It works. It's perfect. If you want to go into the section of using Lightning nodes, and boy, do I tell you, this is a complete new rabbit hole. So last 2 weeks, I was also diving into actually getting Lightning up and running and working, configuring in a way that it is actually usable for me. Raspberry Blitz, I don't know. For actually usability with it in a bigger quantity of creating multiple channels, no, I wouldn't recommend it. Umbrel, no, because I don't like it. The system overall is just way too wishy-washy, I'd say, especially in terms of configuring it. It's just a shame. What I do think is better than Umbrel is Raspberry Blitz in some sort of form. If you do like to use it with your Raspberry Pi 5 specifically, or with an x86 system, then yeah, I could recommend using Raspberry Blitz or Citadel. But for Citadel, you need to be aware that Citadel is some sort of a beta/alpha version, so it's not functional with all devices or all implementations. So currently it only features LND and not core lightning. So you see, there are many things playing around. And then recently I'm playing around with Start9 and the Start9 OS, which is tied around this term of OPSEC and security and all over Tor and stuff like this, which is okay, but not good, to be honest, because running around with all these different implementations, and I only did so because I wanted to get Lightning up and running. I am in this eager position of actually get my Lightning node to connect it to multiple other ones, opening as many channels as I can, and then actually get into this section of using it with Bull 12 offers to get my payouts from Ocean over Lightning. And that's the whole thing why I'm doing all this stuff. Okay, let me see. Stealth Road Electrum REST server is pretty sweet as well. Raspberry Blitz had that as a plugin. Yeah, most of these node softwares do have Electrum or Electrum REST server. No, I never touched into that. I probably need to do so. Let's see. For Road, I use Umbrel to run BTC Core, Lightning Node, Mempool, and Electrum server. I always liked it because it just one-click solution. Yeah, that's the thing. As I said, if you're this type of person that just want to use Mempool at home to have your own block explorer, totally fine. If you want to maybe have 2 or 3 Lightning channels and pay between you and your friends for the daily beer that you drink in a public pub or bar or whatever, go for it. It's totally usable. But as soon as you want to dive into sections of using it, running public pool on it, and configuring stuff around it, Umbrel is really bad. Umbrel doesn't offer you any of that capability, and then you're left with a couple of other issues. Then you think, all right, so I'm gonna try Citadel. But for Citadel, you realize really quickly, all right, it's developed by one person, and then you figure out, all right, many of these things that are gonna be promised of being implemented in it will take ages because it's just one guy who's implementing it. And by the way, shout out to Aaron for actually developing Citadel. It's awesome. It's just he's only one person, and I would love he would have more people with him developing on it, which would probably highlight or benefit the overall system of Citadel, because Citadel is super nice. You can actually configure everything around it, but I was tied specifically to using Core Lightning, so Citadel was not an option for me because it's not implemented. So yeah, and then you think, all right, I have Start9, and Start9 is nice because it uses most of the functionalities over Tor, so it's secure, right? Yeah, but security comes at its issues or disadvantages, which is slow. It's being slow, like literally. Trying to route things over Tor with Lightning is super slow, and especially it gets annoying if you try to set up channels to people, route things over it, and your routes fail just for the reason being of timing out. And that happened a lot to me. Finally, I got my node connected to a sadly centralized node, and now everything is smoothing out a little bit, and I'm still waiting for a couple of improvements or a couple of changes, and I'm still waiting for the payouts from Ocean to figure out if this works. And then hopefully I can dive into this section and give more detailed insight for more people to go down this rabbit hole, because I think there's a lack of information and flow around Lightning, how to set up your own node and stuff like this. So yeah, that's the whole point why I'm talking about it. Let me see. Stealth wrote in the chat, I ran an RP4 for about 3 years as a Raspberry Blitz Lightning node for a low number of channels, 16 or less. It performed fine for me. I upgraded to an RP5 because the system was pretty loaded when I got to 70 channels. Yeah, that's the thing. And I'm really amazed that you could run it on a Pi 4 with 16 channels. Because think about it. Lightning is this whole section of having peer-to-peer channels. But let's say you're sitting on your node somewhere, and you have a friend who's sitting on his node somewhere else, but you don't have a straight peer-to-peer connection. But there are 2 people in the middle that you both are connected to. Like your friend is connected to another one, and you are connected to another one as well. And maybe these 2 nodes are not connected directly to each other, so they are then connected to someone else. You get a point. And at some point they are connected, and you can draw a line. Yeah, but That's called routing. Like you're routing when you're trying to do payment from your node to his node, then your node tries to find his node and calculates a path to him. That's basically low term speaking of how Lightning actually works. And this could fail at many possible iterations. One is timing out on Tor. The second one is the calculation for the fees was wrong. Another one is the calculation of the route was not really worth it, or somebody else doesn't have the liquidity they were actually saying they do have. It gets complicated, but there are plenty of workarounds there. One is, sadly, to say you could use some sort of a centralized unit, connect to it, and then route your traffic or your connections over there, which is bad in terms of speaking about centralization, which is also this whole topic around Lightning, that people always bash about Lightning, that it is a nice feature, but it is way too centralized, which I do understand. And so, reading about what Stealth wrote there in the chat, it's the thing. I'm really surprised that he could run his Pi 4 with 16 channels. But the biggest issues for all these single board computers is you do have that many channels, and now think about it, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 other people are trying to make payments, routing, and you are some of these nodes in the middle, and you need to route it, because you need to have a connection to the original node, and you need to have a connection to the node of the destination, and you need to manage that. And maybe you think like, okay, that's not that much, that's not that complicated. But trust me, it is, and it actually adds up CPU usage, especially on these single board computers. They're nice if you're trying to run some sort of a home automation, read out some temperature sensors, stuff like this. Probably way too overrated from the price tag for these tasks, but you get it. You should never use it for actually where money is involved. You should use it for stuff like playing around. That's the actual intended use for these devices. I don't know, maybe do some mining of a shitcoin, whatever, if you're into that. But using that for running your node on, and then a pool on it, mempool on it, I don't know, Lightning implementation on it as well, it gets quite easily overloaded, and then the CPU will just throttle, which will overall reduce the capability of your device. So, yeah. All right, let's see. Stealth wrote in the chat, yeah, it does. That's why many folks run the node on both ClearNet and Tor. That way there's an increased possibility for routes, and it also helps to mitigate the unreliability of Tor a bit. Yeah, that's one of the biggest issues. And I talked about it, that I used plenty of these Lightning node implementations, not only LND and Core Lightning. I'm speaking about these actual node implementations, these software packages. You just throw it on a machine and it somehow magically works, like Umbrel, Raspberry Blitz, Citadel, Start9. And I mean, as I said, currently I'm working with Start9, and I configured a ton of things, and now I'm opening up channels, closing them, playing around, getting into it. It's a complete new rabbit hole, and it gets way, way complicated with all of that stuff that's in there. But then you figure out, all right, fuck it, you want to dox yourself, you want to go with ClearNet. Guess what? You can't do that with a Start9 because it doesn't allow you, at least from my understanding, which is good for the OPSEC and security point of view, but bad for the point of view of using it for a Lightning routing service. So in the next couple of months, I will move, and then I'll probably try something else, fire up my server in a DMZ and use it with a ClearNet address for my Tor, for my Lightning node, because I do have like a bigger viewing point of what I want to do. I was actually thinking about this. Firstly, I was thinking about just playing around with Ocean and the Lightning payout implementation, because I think it's nice. But the way how they set it up is, yeah, you need a Bull 12 offer, which is only been offered by Core Lightning. So LND falls off. You can't use LND. Eclairs also, you can't use that because the implementation for that is missing. I think now they have implemented it, but the description part is still missing. So whatever. I don't dive into Eclair. I never really used it. So the only thing that is left there is Core Lightning. And the biggest issue for the average day user is it's not handy. Literally, it's a pain in the ass to actually get it up and running. And the first thing that you would actually do is go to the documentation, read through it, but you will really quickly figure out, if you're not into Lightning for years, you will figure out, all right, there's so many words that I need to Google, I don't understand them, it's a little bit complicated. And then most of these explanations that Core Lightning does have on their documentation is just so bad, you don't really understand what this function or this term actually means. And that's currently the thing that I'm fighting a little bit against. Like, Lightning is nice, I believe, and I was really not into Lightning for quite a while. I started using it probably 3 months ago. Before that, I was never really using it because I thought Lightning is way too overhyped and not really that usable. And these days, guess what? I'm into Lightning. I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to get it working with Ocean payouts as well, in order not only to create content for me and my YouTube channel, but to provide this knowledge to more people. Because I think there's so many people out there that actually want to do that. And what would be better? I want to drive people away from brains. That's my basic idea that I do have, because what I do see now on X is people are posting about Bitaxe and how they're earning sats every day, and I'm thinking, fuck that. They are using these devices on brains, and I don't like it. That's the whole cause why I'm doing this, because I want to provide this sort of a guide that you can just look up to, follow the steps, go for it, set up maybe a route to my Lightning node or to a Lightning node that is connected somehow to Ocean, and then you can earn sats on that. Because I think it's a way better term of doing that instead of using a non-custodial wallet or a custodial wallet from Wallet of Satoshi or whatever, and receiving your payouts over there that way, which is nice on the one side, but bad for the side of actually thinking about you are not in charge or in control of your own funds, and then you're using a proxy pool like Brains, which is also bad as well. And yeah, I'm not talking about this very, very extended. I'm sorry for that, but that's what's going on in my life for the last couple of days or / weeks, besides of creating a new family and stuff like this. But yeah, let me quickly zip from my tea here. There we go. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, as I said, for the average daily user, Umbrel, Raspberry Blitz, Citadel is somewhat okay and nice. The biggest benefit of using them is that it literally is this one-click install. You plug it onto a USB stick, you plug it into your PC, which has plenty of storage on them. You just fire up this firmware on these devices, it boots up, it synchronizes the blockchain, especially Start9. Like, really shout out to them. I do have a okay internet connection here at home, and I managed to actually synchronize the Bitcoin blockchain in less than 24 hours, which is just amazing. With Raspberry Blitz, it took over a week. What a shame. Especially, try it yourself, guys. Grab yourself a Raspberry Pi 4 if you do have one laying around. Grab yourself a SSD or HD or whatever. Throw it into it with a USB connection and try to synchronize the Bitcoin blockchain. I bet you it won't happen under a week with a Raspberry Pi 4 because it's way too slow. The Pi 5 is somewhat okay. It still took a couple of days, but my x86 system with Start9 on it, boom, less than 24 hours. Amazing. That's how it should work. And what about the Orange Pi? Solo Satoshi was asking, like, what about the Orange Pi? I never had an Orange Pi. Never used it. I read about it multiple times, but I literally never used it. So I can't compare it to an Orange Pi. Maybe that's a little bit more powerful. I don't know the stats of it. Maybe somebody of you could look it up, what a Orange Pi is compared to Raspberry Pi 5 from terms of CPU capability. But yeah, more RAM and better processor. That sounds lovely. But now we are again at a point, what kind of architecture do they use? They use probably also ARM architecture, I believe. And then there's this question, does Raspberry Blitz support this, what they're doing with Orange Pi or not? I'm not sure. It gets complicated, but it's a nice rabbit hole, especially if you're trying to get into more details of using and managing and storing your own funds. But it also adds a lot of headaches to yourself. I'm gonna say, literally, if you try to go down this rabbit hole, do so. It's really worth for educating yourself, but be aware, it will be a pain in the arse, literally, because you need to figure out most of the stuff, and then you're trying to reach out, you're Googling it, or you're going somewhere in the forum and trying to figure out, all right, Core Lightning. For me, as I had this example of Core Lightning because I want to do Ball 12 offers, and I wanted to use them, as I said, for Ocean. You go somewhere in the forum, you're reading through multiple pages, and the basic answers that you do get there, hey, I do have an issue with Core Lightning, yada, yada, yada. That was the issue of someone posting it there. And literally, the first reply to that is, fuck Core Lightning, go with LND. And you're sitting there and like, what the heck is going on? Like, I'm here asking questions, providing insights, what I've done and what is not working. And you're telling me to fuck off and go to LND? That's not how this works. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It's somehow complicated, and I do get it. LND appears to be way more easier to use, but it comes at the cost of a lack of functionality. As I said, with LND, you don't have Board 12 offers, so it's a no-brainer for me to go with Core Lightning. But my guess is that I need to scrape all of the ideas that I do have with all these node softwares, which they do have their benefits, and some of them are really nice. But I think what I need to do is set up a server, or set up a new VM on my server here at home, fire up a new Bitcoin Core setup, and then get Lightning on there as well, with plenty of storage and capability, and use this as my daily driver instead of, all these extra hardwares. No, no. It's a specific me issue, not a everyday user issue. For most people, as I said, it's okay to go with the general route of using Raspberry Blitz or Umbrella or whatever you name it. Alrighty, so yeah, you can hopefully expect in the next couple of weeks a little bit more content about that. Not solely from me, but hopefully also here. As I said, we try to focus on plenty of things, and especially we're trying to focus on moving people away from these proxy pools or decentralized services. And therefore, I created this Lightning channel. And yes, I know plenty of Lightning is centralized, but if you add up a new node to it and you make a couple of peers and reach or make it possible what you want to do, then it's a good cause, and we actually decentralize the network in some sort of form. So yeah, check out the Lightning channel if you want to chat a little bit about it. We do have this channel here on this Discord. But other than that, let's see. Do you guys have any questions? Because I'm probably not done talking about Lightning. Are you in any shape or form questioning yourself about the Bitaxe device? Anything not working you want to ask? Could be. Who knows? Other than that, we're sitting here at 48 minutes currently so far, which is good. So we have produced a little bit of content. Lovely. Alrighty. So this town hall is bi-weekly. This means the next town hall will be in 14 days. Therefore, let's see, on the 27th this month will be interesting. A couple of things are happening in the next couple of weeks. So also, I believe in 2 weeks is the Bitcoin Nashville. I'm not in the US, so I don't know the exact date for it. So next couple of weeks is that as well. Probably a couple of insights will come from there as well, because I do know that Scott is attending, and let's see, I'll try to make it happen. Maybe we can get some sort of a live call with him from there, 25th to 27. All right, so from Thursday to Saturday. Awesome. So Satoshi is also attending there. Guys, if you are going to BTC Nashville, make sure to check out Solo Satoshi and his booth. Please do so. Do yourself a favor and have a chat with plebs from OSMU. That's always the best thing. Yeah, what else is coming up? Next month, by the end of next month, we do have another Bitcoin event in Riga. Riga. Baltic Bitcoin Honey Badger event, which is more technical and nerdy, a nerdy event. All these other events like BTC Prague and Nashville are general events, and this Baltic event is just really nerdy. At least that's what I've been told to. We're going to help Scott. It's a BitX booth, but we can talk about anything. That's awesome. So okay, now I get it. So yeah, Solo Satoshi is there with Scott. So make sure to check him out, because if you're there on this Nashville event, just do it. You will probably have plenty of people checking you out. I hope so, literally. Yeah. Alrighty. I think for today's town hall, that's pretty much it. We have covered plenty of things, and I hope it was some sort of enjoyable for everybody, especially for everybody listening to this later on. If you stick to the very last end of this one, thank you very much for tuning in here, especially to the audience. Also, thank you for joining in here, asking questions, and providing content to it. It's highly appreciated. I really love it. Please keep doing that. And don't forget to actually check out the Discord, which can be found at discord.gg/OSMU, as well as we do have plenty of people contributing on Discord, on X, or on GitHub. Check them out as well. It's highly appreciated because we have so many projects, so many things are happening. And if you're a software developer or bug bounty hunter, do so. Go for it. We have a reward tier list for this as well. And with that, I thank everybody for tuning in here. Till in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching, or thanks for listening is the better terms here. See you next time.